So, yeah, excuse the terrible memory and not being able to keep a thought in my head for longer than 5 seconds. I wish I could blame something for that, but it's probably just age. Anyway, I'm not entirely sure where I was going with that, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's been 8 weeks since I made a video. There's so much to say. I'm not going to say it all in this video because it'd be very long and very boring. But I think I was just going to, give a bit of a rundown of what happened, after that point. So they let me come home, as I said, when my stomach had proved itself to be working okay, and also when because I had the second operation when they were really worried about sepsis and stuff because my infection markers were like 300 plus, at which point they're like, something's really badly wrong, we need to go in and make sure she's not going to die of full body sepsis. So my markers were like 300 plus at that point, and they want them down under 100 to send you home. Apparently, if you get a cold, it can go up to 100. So, they're not too worried if it's, below 100. But most normal healthy people, it should be between 1 and 10. So that's, where it should go down to eventually. So when I was discharged, I think it was like 85, and then it was monitored by my GPs. But oh my God, that week after I was discharged from hospital, thank God Mark stayed with me because I felt so ill still. The drive home was hell. It took us 4 hours. We weren't discharged from the hospital until gone 7 p.m. because of the pharmacy taking forever to bring up the massive bag of drugs, half of which were wrong. But at that point, there was no way I was going to sit and go through it. I was just like, get me out of here. Dosed up to the eyeballs on drugs on the way home. Had a duvet packed around me and a pillow under the seatbelt, but was still in agony, and it was just ugh. And then had to get out to go to the loo. I mean, I had to be wheeled out of I couldn't walk down to the from the ward out of the hospital to the car. I was still too breathless, and I was just still too ill. And so even though at the services, Mum parked right near the entrance, and all I had to do was get from the car to the entrance, and the loos were just there. That was hard. It was anyway awful. And then that week they'd sent me home on 2 powerfully strong hospital grade antibiotics to bring the infection markers down, which meant that I basically felt like I had motion sickness. So every time I moved, I thought I was going to throw up and sort of dry heaved, and there wasn't enough in my body to be sick with, but I was heaving nonetheless. It was horrible, disgusting. Which meant that the puree stage started badly because all this wonderful, organic, beautifully made puree that Mum had lovingly prepared for me in the weeks leading up to the operation that was sitting in the freezer. I tried 3 times, I think, to have a puree meal, and just every time was just like, felt powerfully nauseous. And after that, I just went to sort of childhood comfort foods that I knew I would be able to get down. For example, Ready Brek, no added sugar, Heinz tomato soup, Heinz chicken soup, just anything I could bear the thought of getting down. And I basically lived on soup and Ready Brek for 3 weeks because I could not face the idea of the puree, because after that first week of feeling powerfully sick every time I had it, just the thought of it after that flipped my stomach to the point where I was like, I can't do it, So yeah, soup and Ready Brek was my super nutritious 3-week start. And then I kind of almost skipped the puree stage and went straight into the soft food stage because once I felt like I could handle something other than soup, I was desperate for something fresh tasting, so I kind of cheated a little bit, because you're not supposed to have salad until after week 8. But I peeled and de-seeded some tomatoes, had some avocado, peeled some cucumber, had some beetroot, basically once you're at the soft stage, anything that I could chew down to puree in my mouth, so that it was salad puree by the time I swallowed it, and a bit of tuna mayonnaise with it. And kind of had quite a few meals of that. And then I was into the soft stage, and at that point I went and had my first checkup at Loxwood, and sort of told them what had been going on, told them about the soup, told them about the nausea, and spoke to the lovely dietitian Elaine down there. And she basically said, I think you'll probably find that quite a lot of this is psychological, and try crackers. And I'm like, are you mad? I can only just get soup down. But she was like, no, seriously, they mush down in your mouth into such soft, it'll work, trust me. So on the way home, I bought 3 different kinds of gluten-free crackers, and was like, these are really yummy. I've got no problem with swallowing them. It's clearly all in my head. So I still can't cope with the purees. I'm going to have to make them into soup. But I realised that kind of I can only eat soup thing was in my head, and that I could definitely manage more solid things. So, yeah, so I kind of went on to some crackery stuff, and hummus, and this kind of salad I made into puree in my mouth, and made a homemade shepherd's pie that I blitzed the mince first, and then did a cauliflower, celeriac and potato mash on top. And I'm in week 7 of 8, and I'm pretty much now into eating. I say eating whatever I want, like cautiously. I've had a couple of meals out, but ordered soup and then a frittata, and I'm in no rush to do anything that's going to challenge my lovely posh new pouch tummy, especially after the exceedingly rocky first, I was going to say 8 weeks of this process. 8 weeks, 8 weeks since I had the first operation. It's been a rough ride. I still think that I'm going to be one of those people that comes out the other end, as I said, in hospital, who's like, despite the complications, this was still the right decision. But it has been a rough ride, both physically, because even after that first week, when the super powerful nausea wore off, I still feel nauseous, not every day, but definitely, fairly regularly. Only for a little bit of time each day, but it's still sort of hanging around there. Not helped by the fact I've had to have another 2 courses of antibiotics since hospital. Can't remember now what the first one was for, but the second one was for a urinary tract infection, which A, I'm prone to, and B, my levels of estrogen have hit the floor. More on that in another video. That's a whole other story, and that can lead to UTIs as well. So yeah, I'm only like a week away from taking the last course of antibiotics, trying to put probiotics in me, like anything, taking tablets, having kefir, just trying to put some good bacteria back in there. But I've remembered the thing that I stalled on before, which was to say that by the time I left hospital, by the time I was discharged, despite the fact I was still really very poorly, bearing in mind that when I went into hospital, I was taking medication for high blood pressure. By the time I left hospital, my blood pressure was consistently, beautifully normal. So I came out of hospital no longer needing to take my high blood pressure medication. And it was exactly the same for my type 2 diabetes. So my blood sugar was totally within the range of normal every time they tested it, and has been ever since. It's supposed to be between 4 and 7, and mine's about 5 in the morning, about 7 in the evening, goes up to 8 at the worst. So yeah, both the hypertension and the type 2 diabetes reversed before I'd even left the hospital. So that's pretty amazing. don't think I've got sleep apnea anymore, although I haven't had that officially confirmed. So the reasons, the quantity of life reasons that I chose to do this are already fixed, which is, I just find mind-blowing that in such a short space of time those things could be dealt with. I mean, how is that even possible? So basically it's only the quality of life issue which is left, which is my back, and of course that's not going to be fixed in 8 weeks. I mean, you know, it's been a long time coming, it's going to be a long time going. I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, I've always got a bit of a weak back, and obviously, you know, exercise to strengthen it, and, you know, all the weight loss I need to lose probably is going to need to happen before that problem goes. But you know what? If that's all I'm left with after everything I went in there for to have it, isn't that incredible? So yeah, even though my physical and mental health have taken a bashing over the last couple of months, I still even already think I'm going to be that person saying I still don't have any regrets. It was still the right decision. I'm going to make a whole nother video about the whole estrogen and mental health stuff, because that needs a video to itself. And I'm going to have a think about like what to catch you up on that's happened in the last 8 weeks apart from what I've done in this video. But basically just wanted to hop on to say I'm doing well now. I've been doing well and feeling back to myself for about a week. That's why I haven't made any videos, because it didn't even cross my mind. I've been so busy getting myself back, like getting my physical health to a point of vague stability and getting my mental health to a point of stability, that it just hasn't even crossed my mind to make a video, because this, a bit like friends that say no book or nobody else telling you what it's going to be like can prepare you for having children. I was talking to my cousin and saying, I feel like it's the same with weight loss surgery. It doesn't matter how much you read. It doesn't matter how many people you talk to that have had it before you. It doesn't matter how long you've been waiting for it. It doesn't matter how much research you put into it. You cannot predict the utter transformation it's going to have on your life in every possible conceivable way. Some of them not great, most of them brilliant, but it's just been one of the biggest changes and transformations I've ever gone through in my whole entire life. I mean, you're probably thinking, well, yeah, but until you're in it, you just have no idea what you're letting yourself in for. So those nervous, anxious videos of me before going, oh, I don't know if I made the right decision, oh, should I be scared? Yes, you were right to be anxious. It's massive, but you were also right to go through with it. So I think that's enough for today. I think that's probably, with the other video, going to be about 1/4 of an hour, which is frankly more than enough that anybody needs to listen to me wittering on. But as I said, I will catch up on what's been going on over the last 8 weeks. So if I do end up sharing this with anyone, thanks for listening. Bye.